Hello, everybody, and welcome to r/slash ProRevenge. Saved by utter incompetence. The timeline for this tale is Christmas 1988. I used to have a music production studio based out of a big studio rehearsal complex in South London, and I had been working for 3 days on recording and producing some backing tapes for a client, who also happened to be an old friend. The last day we spent working on the mixdowns, and at about 9:30 p.m., we decided to take a time out and go to the local pub for some refreshment, rest our ears, and genuinely chew over what we've done. While we were blowing the froth off a couple, my old friend Alex and his girlfriend turned up. We all knew each other, so decided to carry on until closing time. Since it was getting late, I suggested we all go back to the studio, listen to the mixes we'd done, and call it a day. As we were walking down the corridor, we came across the rehearsal studio's manager, a person of staggering arrogance and ineptitude, and a frequent thorn in my side, who was restocking the beer machine in the green room. I told him we were just going downstairs to my studio to listen to what we'd been doing and wrap things up. I also told him not to lock up before checking in with me first. So we settled down and listened to the first track. At the end, Alex had to go to the loo, so he went off in search of relief while we carried on. The second track had barely started playing when he came back and said that all the lights were off upstairs, and furthermore, the security doors in the upper corridor were all locked. What the heck? Thinking he was just winding me up, I went to investigate, and sure enough, all the lights were off and the security doors closed up tighter than an anxious sphincter attempting to rein in the purgative effects of a thermonuclear grade Vindaloo. Going back to the studio, I tried to call the studio owner, but got no joy. So we sat there for a while, trying to figure out what on earth to do. Alex in particular was concerned because he was supposed to fly off to the Middle East first thing tomorrow morning to shoot a commercial. Eventually, I decided the only hope was to call the fire brigade and get them to come and rescue us. 20 minutes went past, no fire brigade. 30 minutes, still no joy. By this time, I lost my patience, so grabbing my toolbox, I went upstairs to the fire exit, which had been chained up, and proceeded to dismantle the entire emergency panic bar exit mechanism from the inside. I eventually managed to get it open, only to be confronted by big burly firemen about to lay into the door with a large fire axe. Fortunately, I managed to avoid being sliced in two by the simple expedient of stepping rapidly to one side. The rest of the firemen entered and checked out the rest of the building, while I regaled the lead officer with a tale of our woe, much to his evident amusement. Despite his amusement, he was absolutely furious with the clear violation of basic fire safety principles, and he told me he'd be back first thing in the morning to give the owners a right earful, because there was a strong case for prosecution over the incident. As you might imagine, I was not pleased with the entire farrago, so the next day around noon, I stormed into the main studio's office, thundercloud in tow and breathing fire. Ironic, really. And in front of the studio owner and his wife, proceeded to lay down some serious invective upon the head of the hapless studio manager, calling into question his dubious parentage and threatening to attach his gonads to the outside terminals of the largest Class A power amplifier that I could find if there was ever a repeat of the entire sorry debacle. Oh, need more periods in there, man. This entire thing is one whole sentence. Put some periods in there. Yell at me and my staff? Fine. Good luck running the office on your own. I used to work in a small family-owned doctor's office. A couple of years in, they got a legal fight and experienced staff started leaving. Being young and dumb, I wanted to be loyal and ended up managing half of the doctor's office. The other half was managed by Brittany. She had a team of 3 that did the work of 6. The company got bought and a new owner came in. He was like Danny DeVito in gold chains and a bad toupee. He was dumb and no one respected him. He screamed constantly about little things at anyone. He micromanaged and didn't bother to understand someone's job before telling them how to do it better. He tried to streamline processes without knowing how they worked, but mostly he yelled. One day, the hardest working person in the entire clinic, a nurse who started every appointment, was a few minutes late. She was a single mother and her kid was sick, so she showed up less than 10 minutes later than usual. Danny proceeded to berate the nurse in front of the entire office, scream about dumb things like being a few minutes late, then strange things like how she wrote dates, then absurd things like how her bedside manner sucked. She had gotten the flowers the day before from a patient because she was so good. When the nurse put in her notice at the end of the day, Danny fired her on the spot, told her to leave and never come back. I had been job searching and had actually gotten an offer. I was planning on giving a lot of notice, but couldn't give notice if I'd be fired immediately. I had student loans and was paycheck to paycheck. I grabbed the two remaining members of the admin staff and explained that I was going to quit without notice before too long. Brittany understood, and she said she too was in the final stages of taking a new job. We agreed that we'd quietly all find new jobs, then duck out when it was convenient. We had to quietly let all the other staff know, and each of us quietly started smuggling our personal effects out of the office. I had a start date 2 weeks out, but honestly couldn't give notice without risking my financial health. A week or so later, Danny started screaming about the color of tape I used to duct tape down a power cable months before. I had used orange and yellow to make it more visible, but Danny said that was unprofessional. I asked him how he'd like me to fix it. "Well, that's not my problem, that's yours." I paused for a second and said, I don't think it's my problem. I'm out. I grabbed my small box of things as Danny howled at me. "You'll never find another job in this town. I own every doctor's office in the county. I don't need you since I've got Brittany." Brittany looked at him and said, "I'd been meaning to tell you that today is my last day." We packed our things and walked out as Danny called the cops saying his employees were stealing things like their own birthday cards and pictures of their kids. We texted the third employee, who was on lunch, and explained what happened. Sounds like she didn't go back, and without front desk, billing, or nursing staff, the doctor's office simply can't run. I'm told they were closed for almost 2 weeks before they got temporary employees, but had no one to train them. Danny shuttered and resold the business a few months later to the big dog in the industry, which is just a charity. Since their books are open, we saw that they bought the company, really just a clients list, for about 15% less than what Danny had paid a few months prior. Ha ha! I love this one. "Hey, you can't do that. Do it the way I want." "How am I supposed to do it?" "I don't know. That's your job." "No, it's not. I quit." That's amazing. Ah, yes. Thank you very much for watching r/ProRevenge. Feel free to like and subscribe if you would like to. I'm Miles the Man, and have a great day.